Beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Gorgeous.
Great day. Great day. Excellent. Excellent. Marvelous. Marvelous.
It is.
It's Reverend Bill with your God Call.
Every once in a while, we look back at something that we've done and our performance, and we think, I really could have done better. Well, instead of using that as an opportunity to beat ourselves up and think about what could have been instead, we can use that as a learning tool. As we're setting out on a new endeavor, let's keep that experience in mind. Let's keep that notion of, I could do better. And then, before we get started, set the intention to do better, and allow that to help us create the experience.
Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I'll say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it's been a year since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to the faces. Little darling, it's been like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo doo doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Avia. And good morning, New Thought, Philadelphia. It is Puppy Day and Father's Day and the summer solstice and opportunity for love to unfold and a joyous noise to be made. He'll be sleeping any minute now. That's just me. In the meantime, let's all make a joyous noise together. Normally, we're going to keep our microphones muted so we don't get a cacophony, but let's go ahead and unmute and repeat after me. I open myself to love.
I open myself to love.
I open myself to joy.
I open myself to joy.
I open myself to the awareness of good surrounding me right here and now.
I open myself to the awareness of good surrounding me right here, right now.
Woof.
Whoa.
So it is.
So it is.
I'm Reverend Bill Marconi, and I get the opportunity to be the practitioner today. Our guest speaker is Joe Catanzaro, RSCP. The music is Avi Wisnia, and our master of ceremonies is board president, practitioner Ian Rourke, RSCP. And I'm going to put Oliver back on mute.
And thank you. Oliver is our New Thought dog, the newest member of our family. So welcome everyone. New Thought Philadelphia is an open, loving community of spiritual adventurers, welcoming each person to experience their divine nature in an empowering space of unconditional love. Whatever path you've been on, whatever brought you here to our Zoom today, wherever you're headed next, we've been expecting you, we love you, and welcome. Now, we believe that there is one power, love, intelligence, or force that creates everything, including each of us, and that we each use that same power, love, intelligence, or force to create our lives according to our beliefs. Or as we like to say, our new life begins with a new thought. Take a moment, if you could, to turn off any unnecessary electronic devices so they don't disturb you during the celebration. And we're going to kick things off the way we start everything, with a practical prayer. And as Bill mentioned, our very own Reverend Dr. or Dr. Reverend Bill Marcioni is our practitioner of the day.
Thank you, Breen. So let's just turn away from all of the distractions, all of the circumstances and situations, the details in the world around us, so we can get the big picture. We can open ourselves to the awareness of that infinite creative power that creates everything. Call it nature, the universe, source, Mother, Father, God, call it the Big Bang. Whatever it is that we call it is that from which everything flows. It is the one which since the beginning of time has been sharing itself as all of its creation and continues to do so. So that one infinite power and presence, that one love is here now as me, as each one who is participating in the celebration. It is every word that is spoken. It is every note that is sung. It is every idea that is expressed. It is every nuance in deepening. It is every profound shift in awareness and consciousness. It is that divine goodness upwelling and filling and expressing itself through each of us and through all of us. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for the celebration. I'm grateful for each one showing up here today. I'm grateful for the wonderful way that love is expressed. And I'm grateful for the awareness of the creative law and the ability to set this intention, to make this invitation for this newness, for this goodness, for this sweetness and richness to be unfolding in our lives. And so with this feeling of thanks, I speak this word of intention and I release it into that creative law that has always said yes. And I know that once again, it is saying yes. And so it is. So the reason that we do a practical prayer is not to earn God points or something, but instead to create a movement in consciousness to invite a change in experience. So whoever it is that has been experiencing the result of a prayer, go ahead and give a wave or raise your hand on the electronic reaction button so we can hear about the prayer works that are going on in your life. Brain work.
So it's a prayer around, I don't know, order and harmony. Had an issue with the cable company. I used to work for the cable company, and I had what they call courtesy service. And when I was separated from the company, I got reorged right out of there. But because of my age and years of service, I got a retirement package, which included 3 extra years of courtesy service, which had expired. And all of a sudden, they want to bill me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I went through several rounds of frustration on the IVR. Press 1 for this. And I'm like, representative. And I was getting very angry and frustrated and hanging up. And I said, wait a minute, I know a trick. And it wasn't to call some VP that I used to know. It was to say a prayer. So I did. Finally got through to someone in billing who was super helpful. They're opening a dispute on my behalf. And she assures me everything is going to get worked out. So I will report more prayer work story when that dispute is resolved.
Sweet. Sarah.
On Monday of this week, I had come off a weekend of having bad hair days. So I was in the shower and I recognized that I can pray for a really good hair day and I don't have to feel guilty about that being vain. And so I prayed for a really good hair day and a great walkthrough. And I had both of those things on Monday, and it extended into Tuesday as well. So you can even pray for good hair. Who knew?
We'll talk. Breen and I are going to be looking at you for some prayer support. That's wonderful. And it's interesting that the prayer work stories, the good is already unfolding, even if we don't have the end of the story, or supposedly the end of the story to talk about. On, I think, Wednesday of this week, Dina and I will be receiving our 4th washing machine from Maytag. Because they keep bringing them over and they don't work. And the guy in charge of repair at the local repair company said, you know, you had 2 machines with the same power failure error. Maybe there's something wrong with your electricity. Okay, maybe there's something wrong with our electricity. And it turns out that there's water in our circuit breaker panel. So the circuit that the washer is plugged into has been repaired, but now we need to get the whole panel replaced. And the prayer is that all of the pieces are fitting together in such a way that the home warranty company that actually put that panel in 2007 is going to replace it again for us in 2021. They seem to have some objections, but that's more akin to my puppy squirming when I wanted to, you know, get his snout trimmed than it is, you know, it's not going to work. The dog's snout's going to get trimmed, and the warranty company is going to pay for the new panel, and all will be well. So I will have details on that unfolding as they come along. Carly, you got some announcements for us?
I do, but a real quick prayer works first. It's kind of like an overall kind of thing from the prayers, from the practical prayers I've written in courses over the last year, and the power of 8 intentions that I've set throughout the last year. And, you know, I have this cool new job that's very challenging, but doable. And it's making my brain stronger, and it's making me stronger. And you know, everything's not, I have a lot to learn, and I have to figure out my time better for taking care of things, but I've been using time. I had an intention for using time and being more healthy, and everything's coming together. And I like, even when I'm feeling a little chaotic or that work is a little too challenging, I breathe in God and I keep going, and things are good. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the other possibilities that are revealing themselves and manifesting as we speak. So thank you, everybody. Okie doke. This season starting information can be found on our website at newthoughtphilly.org and in our weekly e-newsletter. Please sign up on the website so we can keep in touch. If you signed up recently but have not gotten the weekly news, sign up again. The technical issue has been resolved. The Unexpected Income Club is a fun way to prove prosperity principles running through July 4th. Join the club online and you'll do a daily prosperity prayer. When unexpected money shows up, you'll donate 10% to New Thought Philly. You keep 90% of God's money. And I'll say real quick, it's really cool. I just gave $14 and got to keep 140. I mean, and 100, you know what I'm trying to say, do the math, but it's cool. Twice a day, we have community check-in and meditation on Zoom. They're inspiring and fun and are less than 15 minutes. Everyone is welcome. We'd love to have you follow New Thought Philly on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and join the Philly Spiritual Adventures group on meetup.com. The Power of 8 Intention Circles meets Monday at 7 p.m. Contact Sandy for info. The men's group meets Monday at 7 p.m. The women's group meets Thursday at 7 p.m. Contact Joe or Sandy for info. And the teen group meets next Sunday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. You heard a God call at the beginning of the celebration. You can subscribe to get God calls on your phone, interrupting you at random 4 times a week with a reminder that you are a bright light of God's love. The 106th Annual World Congress of the International New Thought Alliance will be online July 20th through the 22nd. The theme is Conscious Awakenings. All are invited to enjoy exceptional words, stimulating experiences, inspiring music, and the truth of new thought. Thank you to the production team and presenters who make our Zoom celebrations work. There's a short technical rehearsal on Saturday afternoon and a final check-in before the celebration on Sunday. To join the team, contact me, and I will put the information in the chat box after I finish with this. But it's awesome, and it'd be great to have more people. So please do service. Next Sunday is Fear to Faith. Yay! Reverend Bill explores how we can turn away from a problem to the infinite power that is ever available and let our faith open the way to the solution. Live and original music by Adam Webb. Reverend Bill and the practitioners are available by appointment for professional prayer. After the celebration, Reverend Bill will be available for a quick miracle in a minute prayer at no charge. Sorry, I'm stumbling all over my words. We'll leave the Zoom meeting open for people to talk amongst themselves after. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carla. So we've got a special gift and a blessing for second-time visitors. Once we're back in person, anyone who's been on our Zoom or come to see us, or if you're second time or 102nd time, you can come and get a gift. It's a really cool keychain and flashlight with New Thought Philadelphia on it, and a blessing. We also have a very special blessing for any first-time visitors, and I don't know, in my gallery view, I don't think there's anyone here for the first time. So we will all bless each other. So take a look around in the Zoom. We can put it on gallery view, rub our hands together, and we'll bless each other. You are a bright light of divine love. Thank you for sharing your light with us, and welcome. Yay! So this is the part where when we're in person, we're going to hug each other, walk around hugging and greeting. But leave it on gallery view, look around at everybody. Every now and then look in your camera and pretend like you're making eye contact with someone. And Avi's going to sing us another song.
Absolutely. Thank you, Breen. It is wonderful to be back with you in your wonderful community. We started with a little bit of Beatles talking about that long, cold, lonely winter. And as we start the summer solstice today, the longest day of the year, I hope we all get a chance to soak up the sun together. So wherever you are, even if you're muted, you can sing along with me. Here we go. My friend the communist hold meetings in his RV. I can't afford the gas, so I'm stuck here watching TV. I don't have digital, I don't have diddly squat. It's not having what you want, it's wanting what you've got. I'm gonna soak up the sun, I'm gonna tell everyone to light it up. I'm gonna tell them that I got no one to blame. Every time I feel lame, I'm looking up. I'm gonna soak up the sun. I've got a crummy job, it don't pay near enough to buy the things it takes to win me some of your love. I'm gonna soak up the sun, I'm gonna tell everyone to light it up. I'm gonna tell them that I've got no one to blame. Every time I feel lame, I'm looking up. I'm gonna soak up the sun while it's still free. I'm gonna soak up the sun before it goes out on me. I don't have a master suite, but I'm still the king of me. You have a fancy ride, but I'm the one who has the key. I'm gonna soak up the sun. I'm gonna tell everyone to lighten up. I'm gonna tell them that I got no one to blame. Every time I feel lame, I'm looking up. I'm gonna soak up the sun. I got my 45 on, so I can rock on.
Rock on. Thank you, Avi. That's a fun song. All right. Now we're going to have Sarah bring us the Flames of Faith.
We perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from the one power, love, intelligence, which we call spirit or God. We honor the richness that comes from our shared diversity and bless the interwoven energy of the divine feminine and masculine. We light the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As we light the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone or any place you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
Blessed be. 20 more years ago, there was a wonderful, inspiring piece that ricocheted around the internet, so it keeps going and going and going. It was written by a Lakota medicine woman named Araya Mountain Dreamer, called The Invitation. She's turned it into a book. It lives on, and the reading today is The Invitation, which is shared with us by Dina.
I hope I get through it without crying, because that's how good it is. So take these words in, they're really powerful. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrows, if you've been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and stand still on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair. Weary and bruised to the bone. And do what needs to be done to feed the children. Sorry. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will still stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else fails away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments.
If God had a name, what would it be? And would you call it to her face? If you were faced with her in all her glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make her way home. If God had a face, what would it look like, and would you want to see it? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven or in Jesus or the saints or all the prophets. And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make her way home. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus trying to make her way home. What if God was one of us trying to make her way home?
Good morning. I am really happy to be here today and talk about the solstice and start this irregular series of talks on the flames of faith. So I'm going to try to link up the solstice, the shamanic traditions, New Thought Philadelphia, New Thought philosophy. And I want to talk a little bit about how we got here. Or how I got here. We had a running joke in practitioner study, Breen and Reverend Dr. Bill and Reverend Dave, about how many of the candles on the flames of faith I have been through in my exploration of spirituality. And I lost my train of thought. So how many, and I also wanted to mention that the first time I got to a New Thought Philadelphia celebration, the first thing that really reeled me in was the flames of faith. I was really taken by the inclusivity. And at the very end, when we use the phrase blessed be, I've studied a lot about a particular branch of the shamanic traditions, Wicca. And that is a very common phrase that's key to their practices in a way. It's similar to namaste, the way I interpret it. So it's the giving of a blessing, and so the giver provides the blessing, and it's recognizing the divinity or the ability of the receiver to also give a blessing. So it closes that circle and creates a sense of community. So it was really special when I sat there for the first time and heard them say, blessed be, at the end of the flames of faith. So we're going to do a little travel back in time to the Neolithic age when God was a woman, because the solstice, the summer solstice, is really the celebration of the rebirth of the feminine. It's the masculine aspect of the divine rules the winter, then that rebirth is celebrated at the winter solstice. The summer solstice represents the rebirth of the divine feminine. So I went back to this because when I sort of began this spiritual journey and said, I had enough of Catholicism, I need to find something else, I was really driven by, I wanted to know what was it like before Christianity? What was it like before Judaism? What was it like before we had these patriarchal, hierarchical religions and forms of society? So I started way back. And actually, when I prepared this, I said, I really started with Taoism, because I remember buying the Tao Te Ching and throwing the coins, and it's a beautiful philosophy. I still refer to it today. But from there, I wanted to understand more. I was always interested in history. I loved mythology. I was the geeky kid in high school that loved, learning the Greek myths and everything else. And I've done some investigation of a lot of different pantheons from various cultures. So I love that. I love all that myth stuff. So I really wanted to see more about what was religion like, what was spirituality like before Christianity. And I stumbled onto, several years ago, a course given by a university professor at Penn. I think she was in the folklore department, and it was based on goddess worship. So a lot of what I learned informed some of this. So just for reference, Abraham, or the Neolithic age, started 10,000 years before Christian era. And Abraham, the first Jew, the first Hebrew to have a relationship with God, lived about 1800 to 1500 years before Christian era. So there's a lot of history and a lot of story that goes before we had this monotheistic religion that really informed Christianity and also Islam. So this Neolithic society really flourished between about 7000 BC and actually as far as 500 AD, when they believed that the last goddess temple was destroyed. And that was probably on the island of Crete. So there's a trove of archaeological excavation found specific, actually all over the world, even in the United States, but most of it's centered in the the Eastern Mediterranean. So we're talking Turkey, Syria, Greece, and Crete, specifically Crete. And some of the evidence that there was a female god is from Turkey, 1500 BC. They worshipped Ariana. In Egypt, in the 4th century, they worshipped Isis. And I love this prayer quote from Babylon, about 18 to 17th century BC. In chaos, brought life by the law of love. Out of chaos, brought harmony. From chaos, has led us by the hand. That was in honor of their female deity. Chaos, interestingly, was one of the first 4 primordial beings that was recorded as the precedent before we even got to the Olympic gods, the Olympic pantheon. So chaos, Gaia, they were more like places rather than individuals. So chaos really referred to the void, that gap between heaven and earth. So even the Tao Te Ching refers to both a male and a female divinity. In China, they have Kuan Yin. So female deities have been referred to from really the beginning of time, but not so much lately. And there's several reasons for that. When we look back at what these societies were formed around, the religion had that female deity. It was both polytheistic and monotheistic at the same time. There was a faith in a transcendent entity, not any particular picture of what God looked like. There was no separation between the secular and the sacred. There was religious unity. Religion was life and vice versa. There was also no support for a culture of domination. If we think of patriarchy as a domination and a ruling by males, matriarchy by definition then would be a ruling or a domination by females. There was no domination. It was an equitable, equalitarian society. It was probably matrilineal, but it was not the hierarchical system that we're familiar with. Interestingly, there was also no signs of war. There were no fortifications. There were no troves of weapons. So this was back in this peaceful Neolithic age. The peoples were agrarian. They were farmers. They were tradesmen. They were craftspeople. There was a lot of trade between civilizations in Greece and the Mycenaean civilization in Crete, between Greece and Crete. And when people looked back at this, it sort of seemed to be the source of the story of the Garden of Eden. So when you think about, okay, Genesis, this is thousands of years before they even wrote the book of Genesis, where we get our creation story from. So this society existed well before then. It's also considered to be the source of the Atlantis story because of its location in the Mediterranean and some of the natural disasters that facilitated or contributed to its downfall. And in many ways, since not many of us are familiar with even the solstice traditions, it's been buried. All of these artifacts are still buried. They're buried not only in the earth of where they were used, they're buried in cultures that came in and laid culture down on top of them. They're also buried in sort of classification by the patriarchy, if you will, where they were just dismissed as it's a fertility cult. It wasn't even given the status of a religion. It was just a cult. It's nature worship. It's gross mythology, and whatever is left is not really readily available. Nobody's having museum shows with some of these artifacts. So it's been pretty buried still. So about the 5th century before Christian era, about 7,000 years ago, there was a series of cultural disruptions that affected these people. Invaders from both the Northwest and the South that were monotheistic with a hierarchical society, the Hebrews from the South and the Aryans or the Kurgans from the Northwest, as well as some of those natural disasters that befell the Mediterranean. So these cultures were destroyed. And again, to put it in context, this is 2,000 years before the Egyptian culture flourished, before the Sumerian culture flourished. So again, there was a dominator model of society, it was authoritarian, and there was a warrior god, a male warrior god that was imposed. This is actually even recorded in the Bible. Deuteronomy says Yahweh commanded destruction of idols, the first or second commandment. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. Get rid of them. I am the Lord your God. The book of Joshua from chapters 9 to 11 talks about the persecution in Canaan, which is now present day Palestine, because they worshiped feminine gods. The Christians continued it when as Christian, Roman Empire expanded, they persecuted Antioch and Alexandria for their pagan beliefs. And the Bible even changed the word. Elohim is one of the names of God. And the Bible just flat out says, this is a man. Whereas when you study the history of the word, it was not. There was no gender attached to it. So there was, even in the Quran, Allah will not tolerate ideology. The pagans pray to females. History is written by the victors. So as these gods came in, as these societies came in, there is a really wonderful book by Rianne Eisler called The Chalice and the Blade. And she looked at this cultural transformation theory where the life-giving chalice of the feminine deity was taken over by these monotheistic cultures with a male god of war that came wielding either a thunderbolt or a sword. So society switched over to the blade. So how does this lead to shamanism? Well, this was really the beginnings of it. Shamanism is found all over the world. It's an ancient healing tradition, way of life. And it's that connection with nature, that healing is provided to people and communities through that, strengthening that connection to the earth. And worldwide indigenous peoples have their own beliefs and practices and rituals for how they connect that. Most of it's been lost in many areas. There's actually only one tribe left in the Sierra Madres in Mexico that can trace their lineage and their practices back to their pre-Columbian history. But in the West, in Europe, it's been pretty much completely lost because of the domination, the cultural domination as Christianity really overrode everything. So that Western tradition has been sort of consolidated into what's known as neo-paganism. And probably the most well-known specific practice or belief system is from Wicca. That was also the one I think because it was Western and because it was European, it's the one I kind of gravitated to study. And back in the 50s, Gerald Gardner really kind of established it as an organized religion. So, and there's some fit here, which we'll explore. It was also really suppressed because of the burning times from 1300 to 1700. Thousands, from anywhere from 40,000 to like hundreds of thousands of people, mainly women, but men as well, were burned at the stake as heretics. The Inquisition used the Hammer of the Witch book that was written, Malleus Maleficarum, for them to try the witches, because witches threatened the Christian power, the Christian church power, because they were empiricists. They didn't do things on faith. They made observation. They were the healers. They were the midwives. And that was a threat to the church. So what from this Western tradition of neo-paganism, Wicca, how does this relate to its place on the flames of faith and how we got to New Thought? So there is no Wiccan Bible. There's a saying that if you get 10 witches together and you ask them a question, you'll get 15 different answers. But the basic premise of that belief system comes down to this: do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. A more poetic version of this is: in perfect love and perfect trust, live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. They're not really rules. This is not a belief system that's based on a lot of rules. But there was this premise that it's like the golden rule that we're more familiar with. It also was tied into what's called the law of three, so that if you did harm to someone, it was going to come back to you 3 times. Could be 3 times worse, could be 3 times as much. It could vary, but it would affect you. Had to think about your actions based on what it would do to your body, what it would do to your mind, and what it would do to your soul, because those 3 areas could feel the retribution of any evil that you did. And we talk about that in New Thought. We talk about the form and our bodies and how our actions can affect our life on those 3 levels. Wicca is also connected with magic, and that's, I think, it's like magic. It sounds like we think of white magic, black magic, but what that boils down to, my interpretation, there's nothing supernatural. It's seen as harnessing and redirecting natural energy to affect change in our lives. I don't know, sounds to me like we take the power of the one, distill it down to what is the good that we want, to redirect it to manifest in our own lives. So there is also a concept of the afterlife in Wicca, and reincarnation, that what happens in this life will come back and affects your life in the next, that the soul really never dies. It just keeps reincarnating. But there's some branches that do believe in a place of eventual rest. But again, there's a lot of different flavors to how Wicca is practiced and the belief systems. And you can't always assume that just because they say they're a witch, that a witch is not a witch is not a witch, basically, when you practice Wicca in their beliefs. They also celebrated the holidays based on the wheel of the year, so that because this was very much based in the sanctity and the divinity of the earth, and not just the earth is female. There was the masculine component as well as the feminine component. As I said, the solstice is the rebirth of the feminine aspect of that. But because it was based in that agrarian community where life came from the earth, they watched the cycle of the sun and the cycle of the growing seasons and the fallow seasons for their celebrations. So if you take the year and divide it into 2 with the solstices, equal day, equal night. The winter solstice, as I said, was the birth of the male god. And this was not just celebrated by female worshiping societies. The birth of the male god is found in Greek culture, Roman culture, the birth of Mithras, the myth of Mithras, which was another god from Persia, Indo-Persian god that was born at the winter solstice, and of course Jesus, that was born at the winter solstice. As, again, patriarchy sort of took over and Christianity was spread, we lost that connection with the feminine aspect of all this. So there is also power. The power in the dark part of the year is the rest and the gathering of wisdom and the gathering of the generative power that then comes forth in the spring. So from the two halves of the year between the winter and the summer solstice, we divide that with the equinox. And then they divide that into cross quarter days. So about 8 times a year, no, more than that. And then there were also other more frequent celebrations, but all of this was pretty much a feminine, had a feminine aspect to it. So as we celebrate the solstice today, we can think, or tomorrow actually, the sun is at its peak. We have equal day and equal night. This was really the beginning of the growing season when life was coming out of the earth to be celebrated. In August, there were a lot of festivals. A lot of these were fire festivals. And in beginning of August or September, I believe, Lunasa, one of the cross-quarter days, is when the beginning of the harvest season starts. Then we go into Samhain, Halloween. And if we think about it, many of these celebrations were co-opted. So on some of them, when they talk about how the mother god starts to come back at the beginning of, actually in the beginning of February at Imbolc, that was the purification of the Virgin celebrated by the Christians. When we get to the summer, to like Easter, middle of April, that was when the earth goddess conceived the sky god's child to bring forth in the summer. What do we celebrate then as in the Christian tradition? The Annunciation, the visit from Angel Gabriel to tell the Virgin Mary that, yes, you're going to be the mother of God. Congratulations. So that's how this was buried and just co-opted and changed. So think back to the time when there truly was that equal partnership and not a hierarchical system. Again, it doesn't matter whether it's a matriarchy or a patriarchy. It's that elimination of that domination by either one. They even believe that the Minoan civilization was ruled by a theocracy, where this really flowered, was ruled by a theocracy. There was no domination there. The queen and the king were considered to be deities and in equal footing with each other. I found a lot of similarity between some of these beliefs and practices as we evolved from the Neolithic age through the major religions being developed and into New Thought. New Thought is not hierarchical. Ernest Holmes said to observe and see if it works for you. Don't just believe me because I say it. See if it works for you. So there's no structure. There's no priest that we have to go to carry our prayers to heaven, that we're not worthy. That divinity resides in each one of us. And that traces right back to the beginnings of these spiritual practices. Again, that recognition of the divine in nature, and the equal footing between the male god and the female god. One final point was that divinity is not external. And I think that also plays into our beliefs in New Thought. That divine resides within each one of us, and we need to bring it out and we need to celebrate it. So let's celebrate that now with the summer solstice. Blessed be.
Do you feel it? There's somebody up there pulling the strings. We're not on our own. Do you see it? It's just like watching gravity fall, and and you don't know how. Oh, but signs point to a miracle. It's not coincidence we've gotten into this, but love, it's something bigger than us, bigger than us, yeah, love, it's something bigger than us. Look above us, you'll see what I've been trying to say. These stars were arranged just like we were. I thought I found this all on my own. That's crazy now. Oh, it's all so unbelievable. I'm not superstitious. Maybe it's just making sense that this love, it's something bigger than us, bigger than us, yeah, love, it's something bigger than us, bigger than us, bigger than us, bigger than us.
Ravi. As Joe was talking about the shamanic traditions, there was a profound sadness that I felt because with the belief that there is one creative power that creates everything, that is everything. It is nature, it is spirit, it is source, it is sharing itself as everything. And that nurturing creative presence. And then to have a new idea come along, that there is one God, but that's God in the clouds, up there, controlling, deciding, directing. That means that the God that was there before has to go. So the insistence there is one God, but it's not the one that you guys have already been believing in. Game on. So let's do a little meditation today, and it's not going to be about that. The meditation today is going to be about blessed be. Such a powerful opening, an invitation, and awareness. Because when we understand that there is only God, there is only that infinite power and presence, that divine love sharing itself as all these different things, all these different ways, taking particular form. The particles in our universe are that divine essence taking specific form. And the quantum physicists tell us that it's all energy, and it's the way the energy is vibrating. It makes it seem like particles. The particles are actually energy interacting in a different way. And we don't need to understand that either. We don't need to understand that either. So as you're comfortable, close your eyes or go into a soft focus. So we spend a few minutes in meditation together. Feel yourself connect with your seat. Feel yourself be present right here and right now. The particles that appear to be you pressing down upon the particles that appear to be your seat. And be aware of that. Allow your spine to come straight and as vertical as is comfortable for you this time. Take a deep, full breath in. Let yourself be filled. And a long, full, slow breath out. Allow yourself to become empty and open. Another deep, full breath in. Be filled one more time. Bring in new possibilities, new opportunities, an invitation for something sweet and joyous. As you breathe out, surrender, release. Let go of your attachment to things being the way that you think they ought to be. Letting go of whatever it was that has been serving you up until now. Making room. And continue breathing, whatever cadence is comfortable. Breathing in and opening to whatever that new blessing is, whatever that next new experience and opportunity happens to be. And on the exhale, let it go. Let go of whatever you thought was going to be, whatever you might have been attached to. Just let it go. And notice as you empty, the depth of your exhale is what determines the capacity of the next inhale. As you breathe in, bring in a blessing. As you breathe out, surrender and make way for a blessing. Continue doing that as we go together into the quiet together. Blessed be. Blessed be. The blessings are always at hand. There's only God's infinite love. Everything is that divine presence shared in its own particular way. That everything includes me, it's each of us, it's all of us, individually and together. God's love revealing itself through and as and in everything that we are and everything we do. Truly a blessing. So I know as each of us sets an invitation for whatever that next new experience is that we're inviting, however that looks for us, however that feels for us, whatever that blessing looks like, that infinite creative power that creates everything is creating it. Not willing to, not able to be coerced into it. That's what it does. It says yes. So to the degree that we're able to open ourselves to that next blessing, to that next new experience, to let go of what's not serving us, whatever has blocked that from coming into our experience in the past, to whatever degree we are able to create that new belief, that creative law is saying yes. It is saying yes to that new invitation. Whatever that desire is that we have, whatever that intention that we have, creative power that creates everything is saying, blessed be. Blessed be, and allowing this newness into our experience. And doing so with all of the power, with all of the intelligence, with all of the love that created everything in this universe. the love flows, the good unfolds, the blessings are at hand. And so with gratitude for this good, for an understanding of the creative process, with an understanding of our heritage and our lineage, and how, in some way, some small way, how we came to be where we are now. I claim that good for each of us, for all of us. And I release this intention into that same creative law. And I know that it's already saying yes. It's saying yes. Well, I let it be. So it is. Amen. Take another deep, full breath in. Let it go. Bring some movement back to your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes, shrug your shoulders, stand up and do a happy dance, whatever it is that's right for you. As you're comfortable, you can open your eyes and bring your attention back into the Zoom. Avi's going to do another song for us.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, yeah. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I see babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, yeah. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Avi. That was great. So this is the time that we refer to our wisdom share and ask for your input, feedback to whatever came up in the reading, the talk, the meditation, just our time spent here together. So just let us know if you have anything you feel like you need to contribute. Green.
Joe, first, thank you so much. That was fascinating. That stuff to me is so cool. And I've thought often throughout my life about, what happened before. And it was really that thinking that started to really open my mind as a young child growing up in the Catholic Church. And I was thinking about Native Americans and their traditions and what little I knew about that. And I knew there had to be more than what I was being taught. And, you know, that was the beginning for me to really think about this bigger idea of spirit and our spiritual lives. But you got me thinking. I was Googling while you were speaking, and I've got a bunch of stuff I got to go back and read. So thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll be happy to share all my references with you. Or with anyone who wants them. My email's on the website, so I'd be happy to share them. Did I see another hand up?
Carla.
Sarah?
Carla's up there.
Who?
Carla was waving.
Oh, Carla, sorry.
Oh, no problem, Joe. Thank you. It was so beautiful, your talk. I took notes. I'm also going to look up things. One of my dearest friends' name is Ariana, so I'll definitely check out the goddess Ariana. And the reading, Dina, this is the silliest thing, but if I do a profile for online dating, I'm going to take excerpts of that. That's just amazing. And I'm just so touched by the whole entire service. Avi, as always, you're fantastic. And I'm so grateful that you're all a part of my life. And, you know, it's funny, I grew up Catholic also, and I used to look at the animist stuff and just everything that happened before. It's always intrigued me. And my parents, my dad was, I won't kill you with all these details, but my dad was Catholic, my mother was everything. And so I've always believed that it's all one. And it's just, I'm so grateful to have found you all. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a quick one that I want to share because I mentioned when I introduced the reading by Araya Mountain Dreamer, because I first heard that I think in the 1990s, and every time I hear it, it becomes even more profound for me. And you know, I cry at the point where Dina was breaking down as well. She started a couple of hurdles before the part where I usually break down. And it's just a reminder that we're in spirals. I can read the same reading or hear the same conversation over and over again, and I'm different. So it means something different to me. And what a lesson.
Dina?
I just want to thank Avi. The music was so beautiful today. Thank you so much. I love hearing your like jazz licks in all the songs. It's so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you everybody for a beautiful day.
Carla Ann.
And the Tao Poo was my intro to Taoism, by the way. New Thought Philadelphia is all about spreading the love. Our community is supported by your contributions. The gift you share helps fund our work in the world, and the way that you share, the way that you shine your light spreads the love. We are grateful for every way you share. We don't have a basket today, but there is a donate button on the website to make to make a donation by credit card or PayPal. You can also mail a check to our office in Ardmore. The offering affirmation is on the screen, and we'll say the affirmation together. I live
in an abundant universe.
I am one
with the infinite source of all good.
I am the center of conscious prosperity.
I enjoy the
richness of life.
I bless my
I
gift.
bless my gift.
I share my
gift with gratitude and joy. I know that as I give, I do receive.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Yay.
All right, so there is a song that I wrote that I always enjoy leaving with you as we go about our day and this new summer season that we're entering all in together. No matter what you're going through, no matter what storms you are facing in your life, either by yourself or collectively, we can always know that it's only temporary. The storm will pass over, and so that's what this song is about. So one last time, even if you're muted, I hope you will sing with me wherever you are. And we'll sing ourselves into summer. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. A storm's about to appear, and not a thing will be dry. But the skies, they always clear. It's just a matter of time. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. We're stuck with nowhere to go. It's quite a disheartening thing. But instead of getting low, let's get together and sing. So let's sing. And this dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. And this dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. I see you feeling blue. Life's not how you want it to be. So until the sun shines through, you can sing along with me. Here we go. And this dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. Said this dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, sun, sun. Last time. Said this dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will soon pass over. This dark cloud will pass, and there will be sun, 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 sun.
Thank you, Avi, and thank you, everyone. My dog is lying underneath the chair, so he's not following Jack's lead quite yet. Springtime ends and summertime begins at 11:38 p.m. this evening. Not that that's particularly important for any purpose, just like one of those details. It's lovely to know. Father's Day is underway. If you are a father, then happy Father's Day. If you have a father or had one, then happy Father's Day, as we honor that divine masculine energy that sources us. So let's end with a lovely cacophony of the last one of springtime. Go ahead and unmute your microphone and repeat after me. I am love.
I am
I am love.
I am light.
I am
I am light.
I let my love flow.
I let my love flow.
I let the light shine.
Let the
Let
light
the light shine.
I celebrate the divine Father within.
I celebrate the divine Father within.
And so it is.
And
So
so
it is.
Amen.
So it is.
Happy solstice, everyone.
Woohoo!
Green, I thought your whole face was going to go for a minute there.
Yeah.